Hey guys, how are you? How are you this evening? I'm trying to get the light improving. It's not working. I don't know. All right. We are getting started with our talk tonight. It is Thursday. It's 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm Dr. Deb, and I'm here for you to learn how we can make our marriages better without discussing it. So let me start with this discussing part. The discussing is the killer of the marriage. Honey, we need to talk. Oh no, and he goes running away, right? Why is that? Why does the discussion part of things kill the very goal that you have when you want to have that conversation? Why? Please interrupt, please chat in, please text and everything. Okay, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of reasons. The first reason, by the way, is this. The person you're speaking to, the person who is causing you all this pain because they are not responding to your needs and the things you've said so many times that you want, that person, guess what? They also have feelings. They've also been hurt, maybe even by you. I have never seen a marriage that works one way. Now, you might say, hey, wait a minute, you're being very unfair to me. I'm a good person. I'm a kind person. I entered the marriage with the best of intentions. I really wanted very much to be able to actually converse and be a friend and get and give and be a giver and expecting to get back what I gave. What's wrong with that? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Here's the problem though. If you got disappointed along the way, and instead of actually being given back what you wanted and what you gave so freely and lovingly, you didn't, then what happened to you? Your behavior changed. It had to. Of course it did. I'm not blaming you for it. Of course it did. It changed because you responded to the situation. That makes sense, right? Your partner was treating you in a certain way, so you responded to that. If they had treated you nicely, you would have responded in kind. Well, that is a problem because guess what? If your partner has issues, emotional issues of any kind that have caused him or her to not respond the way you would expect, you're treating them just as bad as they're treating you is not going to make them get the light. Does that make sense, guys? They're not going to see the light just because you have suddenly shown them what it feels like. These are terms I hear a lot, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The last person who said to me, well, I have to show them what it feels like, was 17, and she was talking about her parents. She's a kid. Don't be that kid. She's entitled to be a kid because she is. Don't you be. So what do I mean? If your partner has issues, has had a difficult childhood, has had a childhood with all kinds of problems in it, can you really expect them to miraculously overcome that and treat you with kid gloves like you're a piece of gold that they are holding in their hand with love and honor? No. As a matter of fact, if your in-laws aren't treating you well, guess what? They probably did not treat the person that you're married to very well either. These are little signs. So the most important thing you can do is change your reaction. So what's this with talking about it? Well, I came up with 5 reasons why talking doesn't work. Okay. And we'll go over those first because I think it's important. First of all, it makes them feel like they're the problem. Honey, we need to talk. Or I want to talk to you and tell you my feelings. Whatever you say and however you put it, and as nicely as you put it, it's going to make them feel blamed. And you don't want to start off that way. Second of all, they may not have a solution. They may be very well aware of a problem because they're not happy either. But if they don't have a solution, or they don't like your solution, whatever that one is, then why are they going to go ahead and talk about it? They're not going to want to. Third of all, if they aren't aware of their own feelings, which is a very big possibility, how can they be aware of yours? So when you say something like, you're not sensitive to my feelings, the truth is they may not know what that means in plain English. They may literally not know what that means. Think about it. If they're not sensitive, maybe no one was ever sensitive to them. Now you're going to say, oh, but I was. We started out that way. I was sensitive to them. I catered to them. I took care of them. I took care of all their needs. Yes, that may very well be true. You may have been sensitive to their needs, but what about their feelings? And even if you were, if they didn't learn the language of feelings, they don't know what you're doing. Imagine going to a foreign country and you don't know the language. They're talking to you and you have no idea. Are they being nice? Are they being mean? You know, I read, and I'm sure people have done a lot of traveling or familiar with this. We go like this for hiking, right? So in some countries, that's a bad sign. That's dirty. You don't want to do that. I don't know which countries it is. But that's the point. If you don't speak the language, even the body language, then they're not going to know what you're talking about. So you could say, be sensitive to my feelings, please. If no one was sensitive to theirs, it's not going to work. I know a family that has little kids. These are not clients. I'm not speaking about clients, but I know the family. They never once say anything positive to their kids, at least as far as I've ever seen. Come over here to the dinner table or you won't get dessert. Why not come to the dinner table so that you will get dessert? Like, how hard is that? They don't. I don't know why. I even casually mentioned it, but see, if they're not my clients, they're not going to listen, so they don't. They haven't and they won't. If a person grows up with that lack of sensitivity to them, it's a language that they don't have. How are they going to understand you when you ask for sensitivity? Now, you may be saying, well, but I cater to them. They come home and I have dinner ready and whatever, I give them a back rub, a foot massage. All that's very nice, but how do you know that's what they want? How do you know that that means that you're sensitive to their needs? How do you know? Maybe that isn't what they want. I just heard another story of a kid who felt like her younger sister needed to be more protected by her mom. So her mom should be kind of taking the flack from the bullies in school by going to school and taking care of things. And maybe the mom felt, no, this kid needs to stand up for herself. But the older sister doesn't understand that. You have to know what the person really needs. And it could be that the young sister is saying, oh, I do need you, but maybe she doesn't. Maybe that's what she thinks she wants, but not what she needs. And there's a big difference between wants and needs. You know, I want that dessert before dinner, but it's not what my body needs. So that's another level of sensitivity, just discriminating between wants and needs. Surely it goes deeper than that on an everyday basis with a spouse. So just because you tried to be what you thought was sensitive doesn't mean that it really was. It may have been or it may not have been. So if a person isn't aware of their feelings, you cannot possibly expect them to be aware of yours, even when you have told them and shown and demonstrated what you think is sensitivity. It's not going to work. Furthermore, and this wraps around to the beginning of what I was saying here. If they come from a home in which they were not treated well, they are in pain. So let's say somebody is drinking too much. Okay, they're drinking too much. What does that mean? Well, you're annoyed. You don't want them drinking. Hold on. That means they're running away from pain. It's like the person with the headache or the backache who has to shake out some aspirin every day and take those. See? The drinking, the gambling, the workaholism, the shopaholism, all the addictions, all the escape mechanisms, they're a sign of pain. And if the person's in pain, that is what you should be addressing, not the superficial symptom of the pain. The symptom annoys you. Why? Maybe it's the pain that's bothering you, their pain, and you don't even realize it. Could be. But tune in to what they are feeling, because if you don't, they're not going to respond to anything you say in the way you wish that they would. Does that make sense, guys? I'm stopping for a second here. I'm stopping for a second to get a little bit of a chat, please. All right, don't chat. I always have a crowd of people and no one chats, or some people do. So what should you do? And by the way, the less of a chat, the faster it goes. So maybe you want a short video instead of a long one. What should you do if saying we need to talk doesn't work? What should you do? I say you study the person that you're married to. Get clear, really clear on who they are as a human being and what they feel. Now you can say to me, they don't feel anything. They're numb. I see that. They are totally shut down. Oh, well, guess what? That's a sign of pain too. They have self-anesthetized. You know, like you go to the dentist and they give you an anesthetic in your mouth so that you won't feel the drilling. Well, when persons learn to shut down, that is anesthetization. And they have done it to themselves. Congratulations, guys who have done that. That's brilliant. We all have brilliant coping mechanisms, but study it. If your partner's using addictions or shutting down or having rages or anything that's driving you crazy and bothering you, and you know that underneath that they're a good person, that means that they are indeed suffering. And if they're suffering, underneath all those symptoms, that's what matters. That is what needs to be addressed. You are suffering, and maybe you don't even realize it. You're so shut down. How can I help you? Now, I will be the first to say that is not easy. If someone's been mean to you, if someone has not been kind, if someone has put you down or bossed you around or controlled your money or done any number of horrible things, it sure isn't easy to be very kind to them back and to say, you're suffering. So here is trick number 2, and this is probably more important and actually precedes step number 1. Take care of yourself. Get stronger. Love yourself. Learn to love yourself, because the only way that you're going to be able to be objective to this person who's hurting you and say, you're suffering. I know it. I want to be there for you. Your bad behaviors prove to me that you're suffering. I want to be there for you. I really do. I'm not judging you. The only way you can do that is if you love yourself first. It's not narcissistic to love yourself first. It's a requirement, because you are walking the face of the earth. You are a human being, so you have to be a whole person, not half a person. You can't love everyone else and take care of everyone else in the world and not take care of yourself. So by loving yourself first, you fortify yourself. You give yourself the strength to be able to cope, to be able to reach out and say, you must be suffering. How can we work on this? How can I help you? What can we do? And the basic elements of how you need to treat this person who's driving you crazy is not about reflecting what they're doing to you, as I said before. It's about being respectful, considerate, and sensitive. Sensitive to what they have been through, even if you don't understand what they need and want now. In fact, they may say to you, I don't know what I need and want. And they may be perfectly legitimate saying that. A person who has either escaped or shut down is not in touch with themselves. They may not know what they need and want, but the very fact that you cared enough to ask is vitally important. The very fact that you reached out with kindness instead of reciprocity of their bad behavior is vitally important. That is what's going to turn this thing around. And if it turns out that they end up saying, you're right, I need something, I don't know what it is, then you can start looking into going to counseling. And I recommend you watch the videos on my channel at Dr. Deb Empowers, so that you understand the kind of counseling that will work for you. It's called IFS, and for couples, IFIO, which stands for Internal Family Systems and Intimacy from the Inside Out. And it's complicated. I'm not going to explain it now, but you can go through all the videos on the channel. I have many stories there of different people that I've made up so that you get the picture of how to apply it all. So there are people out there, and I would love to hear from you. Do you have questions, comments, want to hear more? What's going on with you? Please chat in. Please chat in. If you have trouble figuring out where the chat is, I can't help you, because I don't know how to do it on. I very seldom have done it on my phone. It's too complicated for me. It's too small. I'd rather do it on the computer. Okay. So to summarize everything I've said, don't give back what you got in the way of being mistreated and then expect because of that, they're going to learn their lesson. That doesn't happen. They don't learn a lesson. They just think you're as bad as they are, and it gives them more of an excuse to mistreat you again. On the other hand, you don't want to be a sucker. You don't want to be taken advantage of. So when I say understand where they're at, it doesn't mean you cater to them and you take garbage from them without saying anything. You can say, I think you must be in pain. Maybe you're not even consciously aware of the pain because of the fact that you are doing all this, but I think that must be the case. And it makes sense to me from the family that you've had that treated you the way they have. How can we work on this? Just don't corner them into saying we've got to talk. Especially what you can do is when they're misbehaving, you can give them a surprise response back. If they're yelling or screaming or angry or whatever, you can sit down gently and give them a cup of tea and just be calm and not even say anything. If they feel unheard, ask them to speak to you more quietly because you hear better when someone's not yelling. I've done that a lot with people. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. It's a little hard to hear when you're yelling. So you say it nicely, not sarcastically. Sarcasm is not going to do the trick. Sarcasm will not work. It's just going to make them feel worse than they already feel. One of the rules that has come around, you've seen it on the internet, I'm sure, hurt people, right? If you're a hurt person, you will hurt other people. So the very fact that they are hurting you means they're hurt. And even if they're not acting like it, and even if they're not conscious of it, that doesn't matter. They are hurt. And that means it's an opportunity for you to address that underlying pain rather than the outside overt behavior that you don't like and isn't likable behavior. I agree with that. It isn't likable, it isn't nice behavior. But it's there for a reason. It's because that's all they know what to do. Questions? Comments? The great advantage of no comments is that the whole thing goes faster. Okay, you guys, have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Take care.